The divorce papers came in the mail that morning. 20 years, gone just like that. By evening, Eden Blake sat alone in a quiet restaurant in Savannah, a woman no one noticed anymore. Her best white dress hugged a body that once held confidence. Now it only held memories. The house was gone. The savings, gone. Even the future, pawned to survival. She told herself this dinner was a celebration. Freedom, they called it. But freedom felt a lot like emptiness. Like clinking a glass to no one. Like pretending she was fine while her world quietly collapsed. She lifted her wine with shaking hands. Then a shadow leaned close. A man's voice, low, calm, dangerous in its gentleness, whispered, "Pretend I'm your husband." The words sliced through years of silence, freezing the air between them. Eden's breath caught. For the first time since losing everything, she felt seen. Maybe you felt invisible too. Stay with this story. It might just remind you. Some beginnings come disguised as endings. Eden turned, startled. The stranger was already sitting across from her. Tall, composed, wearing a charcoal suit that whispered money and danger. His presence filled the small corner of the restaurant like he belonged there. Cameras flashed outside, faint but insistent through the glass. He leaned closer, his tone even. "Paparazzi are following me. If you help me, I'll make it worth your while." Eden blinked, too stunned to speak. The man didn't look like someone who asked for help, more like the kind who gave orders. The way he covered her hand with his was deliberate, practiced. "Just play along," he murmured. "Smile." For a moment, she thought it was a prank, but the warmth of his hand felt real. The weight of his gaze felt even more so. And then, something unexpected. A flicker of recognition. The name forming on her tongue before she dared to say it. Roman Holt. Billionaire. CEO. The kind of man whose life headlines were printed on glossy covers. Eden sat frozen, realizing that for the first time in years, someone had chosen her. Even if it was only pretend. The waiter appeared, nervous smile trembling. "Good evening, Mr. Holt. Mrs. Holt." The words hit Eden like a lightning strike. Mrs. Holt. Her heart skipped. She tried to correct him, but Roman's hand tightened gently on hers. "Smile," he whispered. "Someone's taking pictures." She forced a laugh, trying to steady her breath. The waiter poured wine. Cameras clicked faintly beyond the frosted glass. To anyone watching, they looked like a couple in love. Roman's voice was calm, almost teasing. "You play the part well." "I'm a teacher," she said softly. "Acting is part of the job." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. There was something behind that charm. Something guarded, maybe broken. She saw it, even when he tried to hide it. For the first time since her divorce, Eden felt the strange pulse of connection. Fragile, forbidden, and terrifyingly real. As Roman spoke to the waiter, Eden's mind drifted. Her reflection in the wine glass blurred into another time, another life. She once worked as a counselor, guiding others through heartbreaks she never thought she'd face herself. Then came the betrayal. 20 years of marriage undone in one confession. The house gone. The savings drained. Friends vanished. The woman who helped everyone else could not save herself. Her therapist's voice echoed in memory. "You can rebuild, Eden. But rebuild what?" "Is everything all right?" Roman asked gently. She nodded, blinking away the blur. The waiter returned with dessert and a practiced smile. "Happy anniversary, Mrs. Holt." Eden almost laughed, almost cried. She raised her glass instead, pretending to toast to a life that wasn't hers. The candlelight flickered against her damp lashes, and for a second, she wished the lie was real. When the plates were cleared, Roman leaned in, his tone shifting. "I owe you the truth." He spoke low, every word deliberate. "Tomorrow, the board votes to remove me as CEO. They think I'm unstable, too reckless." Eden frowned. "Why tell me this?" "Because stability can be staged," he said. "They need to see a family man, a husband." She froze. The implication hung heavy. "You want me to pretend?" "Just 24 hours," Roman interrupted. "In return, I'll fund your school, the one you told your students about, The dream you gave up. Her pulse stuttered. He knew. Somehow, he knew. Money. Purpose. A chance to matter again. "You're serious," she whispered. Roman's eyes softened. Completely. And for the first time since she lost everything, Eden felt the dangerous pull of hope, dressed in the shape of a stranger's impossible offer. Eden stared at him, disbelief softening into anger. "You're buying my kindness?" she asked quietly. Roman didn't flinch. "No, I'm buying time to save 12,000 jobs." The calm in his tone disarmed her. It wasn't arrogance. It was desperation hidden behind control. He slid a business card across the table. "Think about it. You walk away now, no judgment. But if you say yes, I keep my company and you build your dream school." Eden looked down at the bill resting beside her empty plate. Her rent was overdue. Her savings were gone. And yet, the dream, those children she once promised to help, still lived somewhere inside her. She picked up the card, tracing the embossed letters with trembling fingers. 24 hours, she murmured. "That's all?" Roman nodded. "That's all I need." She met his eyes one last time, searching for deceit, finding only sincerity buried under exhaustion. Maybe it wasn't just about money. Maybe it was about survival, his and hers. Eden exhaled slowly. "All right, Mr. Holt, you have your wife." The car door shut with a soft click, sealing Eden inside a world she didn't belong to. Leather seats, soft jazz. The skyline of Savannah glittering outside like a galaxy built from other people's wealth. Roman sat beside her, scrolling through his phone. His silence was precise, the kind of quiet that came from power. Eden stared out the window, her reflection flickering against the city lights. Just 24 hours, she reminded herself. A deal, nothing more. Still, every turn of the car pulled her deeper into his orbit. Security gates opened without questions. The elevator climbed higher than any building she'd ever lived in. Her phone buzzed. Another bill reminder. She silenced it, ashamed. Roman glanced at her briefly. "You can still change your mind." Eden gave a half smile. "So can you." When the elevator doors opened to his penthouse, she inhaled sharply. Not marble and glass. Warmth and light. The scent of home, not wealth. And for the first time she felt afraid. Not of him, but of what she might start to feel. The penthouse surprised her. It wasn't sterile or cold like she expected. Books lined the walls, paintings leaned against the floor. A guitar rested by the window. Then came the sound. Small footsteps, laughter. 2 children appeared from the hallway, a girl and a boy, pajamas and sleepy smiles. "Uncle Roman!" they cried, running into his arms. Eden froze. The billionaire with headlines and bodyguards knelt on the rug, laughing as a little girl wrapped her arms around his neck. He looked up at Eden, a quiet apology in his eyes. "Lena and Micah," he said softly. "My sister's kids." Eden knelt too, instinctively gentle. "Hi," she said. Lena tilted her head. "Are you Uncle Roman's friend?" Eden hesitated. "Something like that." Roman smiled faintly. "Bedtime, you two." As the children disappeared down the hall, Eden stood still, heart caught between awe and ache. He wasn't the man she'd assumed. Not just rich, not just powerful. He was a man holding the last pieces of a broken family and trying to keep them safe. Later, when the apartment fell quiet, Roman poured 2 glasses of scotch. "You should know why this matters," he said. He told her about his sister, the accident, the custody battle, the vultures waiting for him to fail. "If I lose the company tomorrow, I lose them," he said simply. "They're all I have left." Eden listened, her chest tightening. She had lost everything too, but his loss felt heavier. His pain didn't wear diamonds, it wore silence. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" she asked. "Because weakness costs more than money," he said. Eden looked at the framed drawing on the fridge. 3 stick figures labeled Uncle Ro, Lena, and Micah. The colors were uneven, but full of love. "Maybe what they need isn't a CEO," she whispered. "Maybe it's just you." Roman smiled faintly, as if the idea itself was too dangerous to believe. For the first time, she didn't see a billionaire. She saw a brother, a guardian, a man quietly unraveling beneath the weight of love. Past midnight, a soft cry echoed through the hall. Eden followed it instinctively. Lena sat on her bed, trembling from a nightmare. Micah clung to her hand. Eden knelt beside them. "Do you want a story?" she whispered. They nodded. She reached for a worn book on the nightstand. The Little Prince. Her voice filled the dark room, calm and warm. By the time she reached the last line, both children had drifted into peace. Micah mumbled in his sleep, "Good night, Aunt Eden." The title caught in her chest. At the door, Roman stood watching, arms folded, a quiet smile softening his face. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to. Eden placed the book down, closing it gently. In that silence, something shifted. No deal, no money, no pretense. Just connection. And though morning would bring lies, photographs, and chaos, that night, they were simply a man, a woman, and two children learning how to breathe again. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the penthouse. Eden was helping Lena with breakfast when the elevator chimed. The woman who stepped out moved like smoke, poised, deliberate, dangerous. "Celeste Vaughn," Roman said, tension sharpening his voice. "Still remember me," she replied, her tone smooth as silk. "How touching. And you must be the wife?" Her gaze swept over Eden, assessing, dismissing. Eden managed a polite nod. "Yes." "How fascinating." Celeste smiled thinly. "Roman, darling, you got married and didn't invite me? After everything we built together?" The room chilled. Even the children sensed it. Celeste's perfume lingered like a warning. Roman's jaw tightened. "This isn't the time." "Oh, but it is," she said softly. "The board meets soon, doesn't it? They'll be curious." Eden didn't know the history between them, but she could feel it. The old intimacy, the venom beneath the charm. When Celeste finally left, the silence she left behind was louder than her words. For the first time, Eden realized she wasn't just part of a charade. She was standing in the middle of a storm. The boardroom gleamed like an altar of money and fear. 12 men and women waited, eyes sharp with calculation. Roman stood tall beside Eden, but she could sense the pressure beneath his calm. "Mr. Holt," one of the executives began, "we understand. Congratulations are in order. A sudden marriage, was it?" Celeste's voice cut through the air. "To a school teacher, no less. How romantic." Eden met her gaze. "Yes," she said simply, "to a man who still remembers what loyalty means." A ripple moved through the room. Someone asked, "And who exactly are you to advise this board?" Eden didn't blink. "The one person who sees that he still has a heart." The words landed like thunder. The room fell still. Even Celeste's smirk faltered. Roman turned to her, surprised, maybe even moved. The chairman cleared his throat. "Noted," he said curtly. "Let's proceed." For the first time, Eden realized her voice carried power. Not borrowed from Roman, but her own. That night, headlines exploded across every screen. Billionaire Roman Holt marries broke teacher in desperation. Eden's phone vibrated nonstop. Messages, calls, cruel comments. Her bank app glitched, showing transactions she never made. Debt, overdraft, exposed to the world. Roman entered her room, jaw tense. "We'll handle this." "Handle what?" she snapped. "My life being turned into a joke? My students seeing this?" The pain in her voice cracked through the space between them. She turned the screen toward him, her name trending, her debts dissected by strangers. Roman's silence spoke louder than comfort. Eden stared at him, the truth dawning. "She did this. Celeste." Roman's eyes darkened. "She always plays the long game." Eden sank onto the bed, shaking. "She's not after you, Roman. She's after everything you stand for." He sat beside her, quiet. "And now she knows exactly how to hurt me." In that moment, betrayal became personal. Not just his, but hers too. The air between them had turned sharp. Eden stood by the window, arms crossed. "You investigated me, didn't you?" Roman didn't answer. That was answer enough. Her voice trembled, but her anger burned steady. "You knew about my debts, my past. You used them. I needed to know you were safe," he said quietly, "that you wouldn't be hurt because of me." "You don't get to decide what hurts me," she whispered. He looked at her then, really looked, and all the armor fell from his eyes. "You're right." The silence after was raw, full of words neither dared to say. Eden turned away, tears stinging. "You think control saves you, Roman, but it only isolates you." He wanted to reach for her, but he didn't. The distance between them was wider than the city outside. Somewhere in the building a phone buzzed. A new headline, another wound. But this one cut deeper because it came from inside. By morning, Roman's world began to crack. The board demanded explanations. Celeste's influence spread like smoke through every corridor. Eden overheard enough to understand. Celeste wasn't just an ex-lover. She was his former partner, once brilliant, now ruthless. Roman finally confessed. "She wanted me to sell defense tech to the Draytons. It would have doubled profits, and armed a private militia. I refused. She called it weakness." Eden felt the chill of that choice. "So, she decided to ruin you." Romand nodded. "And she's succeeding." Through the glass walls, Celeste watched them, smiling faintly. A queen reclaiming her throne. Eden stood beside Roman, her hand brushing his. "She underestimates one thing." "What's that?" "You still have something she'll never understand. People willing to stand with you." For the first time in days, Roman's lips curved into something real, and for Eden, the line between pretending and feeling blurred completely. At 6 a.m, the doorbell shattered the fragile peace. 2 officials stood in the doorway. Crisp suits, cold smiles. Behind them, a woman held a clipboard. "We're here on behalf of the Drayton Family Trust and Child Services. We have an emergency custody order for Lena and Micah Holt." Roman froze. Eden stepped forward before he could speak. "There's been a mistake," she said firmly. The woman's eyes narrowed. "And you are?" Eden's voice didn't waver. "Aunt Eden Holt." The lie came out steady, natural, born from instinct stronger than fear. Micah clung to her leg, crying. Lena stood silent, her small body shaking. Roman tried to reason, but the officials pressed harder, citing laws and signatures. Eden didn't move. "You're not taking them," she said, standing taller. Her voice carried the quiet power of someone who had lost too much already. The officials exchanged glances. "We'll verify this claim." Eden didn't blink. "Do that, but until then, they stay." When the door finally closed, she sank into a chair, trembling. Roman looked at her, awe replacing shock. "You didn't even hesitate." She smiled weakly. "You don't think when someone tries to take your kids." The agents returned hours later, papers in hand, ready to remove the children. Eden stepped between them and the kids, her tone calm but unyielding. "Show me the judge's signature." The woman hesitated. "It's confidential." "Then it's invalid," Eden said sharply. "I've worked with CPS. You need proof of endangerment." Roman stared. He had never seen her like this. Composed, fierce, unstoppable. "You have no authority without proper notice," she continued. "Now get out before I call your supervisor." Something in her certainty made them falter. After a tense pause, they left, promising to return with clearance. The silence that followed was suffocating. Lena burst into tears, and Eden pulled her close. "You're safe," she whispered. "I promise." Roman stood by the window, his throat tight. "You didn't have to risk that." Eden met his eyes. "I did, because they're not paperwork. They're children." In that moment, Roman saw her not as his pretend wife, but as the heart that had been missing from his home. She wasn't saving his company. She was saving his family. By nightfall, the storm hit. Federal agents arrived with warrants, computers seized, files copied. Roman's attorney whispered the words that hollowed the room. Financial fraud investigation. Celeste's doing. She had leaked altered documents linking Roman to false accounts, shadow transfers, offshore funds. The Draytons backed the motion to suspend him from the company. Eden watched him crumble. The man who never broke now struggling to breathe. Later, when she was alone, she pieced together the fragments. Celeste, Drayton, the fake audits, the custody interference. It all led back to one thing: control. And then, a darker truth surfaced from the whispers of Roman's old staff. Celeste had been with Roman's sister Iris on the day she died. A car malfunction, they called it. But the timing, the arguments, the silence afterward. Eden's blood ran cold. Celeste wasn't just destroying him. She'd started years ago, with the woman he loved most. Now she was finishing the job. The next morning the house was too quiet, too still. Roman called for the kids. No answer. Doors open. Blankets tossed. Panic sharpened his voice. Then his phone buzzed. A message. "If you want them alive, sign over your shares." "See." The words blurred as he read them. His knees nearly buckled. "She has them," he whispered. Eden grabbed his arm. "We'll find them." "She's everywhere," he said, voice cracking. "She knows every step before we take it." Eden forced him to meet her eyes. "Then we stop playing by her rules." The phone chimed again. A photo. Lena and Micah, blindfolded, frightened, in a place Eden didn't recognize. Roman sank to the floor, face buried in his hands. "It's my fault. I brought this on them." Eden knelt beside him. "No, she did, but she made one mistake." Roman looked up, lost. "What mistake?" "She forgot who she's dealing with," Eden said quietly. "You're not alone anymore." And for the first time he believed her. The FBI swarmed the penthouse within an hour. Agents mapped connections, traced calls, analyzed every message. Eden stood near the monitors, her mind racing. She knew panic solved nothing. Empathy did. She knelt beside Lena's empty bed, remembering their last conversation. "Aunt Eden, Celeste said she had a lake house once," Lena had whispered days ago. "Somewhere quiet, with big windows." Eden's pulse quickened. "Lake," she murmured. Roman leaned in. "What is it?" She mentioned it to the kids. The lake house. An agent pulled up records. Dozens of properties under Celeste's name, but one stood out. An estate near Lake Halcyon, listed under an alias. "That's it," Eden said. Roman grabbed his jacket. "We go now." "No," the FBI lead warned. "She'll expect that." Eden looked at Roman, eyes fierce. "She expects him, not me." The air shifted. The teacher was gone. In her place stood a woman ready to walk into the fire. Because for Eden Holt, protecting those children wasn't a role anymore. It was her purpose. Rain blurred the windshield as the car cut through the forest road. Headlights carved narrow paths of light between the trees. Eden's phone buzzed, an unknown number flashing across the screen. She answered. Celeste's voice was smooth, venom wrapped in silk. "You want to save the children? Come alone. No agents, no Roman. One wrong move and they stop breathing." Eden's knuckles whitened around the phone. "If I come, you let them go." A soft laugh. "We'll see." The line went dead. Roman's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "You're not going." "She'll kill them if I don't," Eden said. "I can't lose you too," he whispered, pulling the car over. The rain hit harder, like the sky itself was breaking. She touched his face, calm despite the storm. "This isn't about losing. It's about saving what's left." He shook his head, but her resolve was iron. Outside, thunder cracked through the night. Eden looked ahead into the dark road and whispered, "I'm ending this." Roman's voice was low, raw. "Then I'm ending it with you." But even as he said it, they both knew. She was going alone. They stopped near this ridge, hidden by trees. The lake shimmered faintly under the rain. Eden checked the tracker clipped to her sleeve. One silent signal to the FBI. Roman reached for her hand. "Don't do this." She met his eyes. "If you love me, let me go." "Eden." She silenced him with a kiss. Not fake, not rehearsed, but desperate and real. A promise and a goodbye pressed into one breath. Tears mixed with the rain between them. "You taught me something," she whispered. "Love isn't about safety. It's about sacrifice. Roman's voice broke. Come back to me. Eden smiled faintly. Make sure there's a home to come back to. She stepped away, her white coat vanishing into the storm, leaving him standing in the rain. A man who'd built empires, now powerless against love. The last thing he saw was her silhouette, small but unyielding, walking straight toward danger. And, for the first time, he prayed not for victory, but for mercy. The house sat on the water's edge like a ghost. Dark windows, one light flickering inside. Eden pushed open the creaking door. Celeste was waiting. A glass of wine in one hand, a gun in the other. Eden Holt, she said, smiling. The inconvenient heart in my perfect plan. Eden's breath came steady. Where are the children? Celeste gestured toward a tablet on the table. A video feed showed Lena and Micah tied in a basement below, terrified but alive. Eden's throat tightened. You don't have to do this. Oh, but I do, Celeste replied calmly. Roman ruined everything. My company, my reputation, my control, and now you've infected him with hope. Eden took a slow step forward. Then kill me. Let them go. Celeste tilted her head. You'd really die for them? Yes. Celeste's smile faltered, just for a moment. Then it returned, colder than ever. How noble. How predictable. Eden's phone vibrated silently. The signal sent, but Celeste didn't notice. Outside, thunder rolled. Inside, death waited. They circled each other like reflections. Light and shadow, resolve and madness. Celeste's eyes gleamed. He'll die for you, you know. That's the kind of man he is. Eden's voice was quiet but steady. No, Celeste. He lives because of me. The words struck like glass. Celeste's smile fractured. You think you're his redemption? You're his ruin, she hissed. Eden's gaze didn't falter. Maybe, but at least I give him something you never could. Peace. The gun raised. Time slowed. A deafening crack split the air. Eden staggered back, pain blooming through her shoulder. Blood soaked her sleeve. She fell against the table, gasping, but her eyes never left Celeste's. Celeste approached, calm as ever. You see? Even courage bleeds. Eden forced herself upright, gripping the edge of the table. So does guilt. For the first time, Celeste hesitated, because Eden wasn't afraid. Eden pressed her hand against the wound, forcing her body to obey. You've already lost, Celeste, she whispered. Celeste laughed. Lost? I control everything. Roman's empire, his children, his legacy. I even controlled his sister's death. The confession hung in the air, heavy as thunder. Eden's eyes widened. You killed Iris. She was weak, Celeste said. She wanted to expose me, so I made sure her car never stopped. Eden glanced at her sleeve. The tiny red light blinking faintly. The FBI was listening. Thank you, she whispered. For what? Celeste sneered. For confessing. Celeste froze. Then realization hit. You recorded. Before she could finish, distant sirens echoed through the forest. Celeste's fury ignited. You stupid woman! She aimed the gun again. Eden grabbed a candle holder and swung, knocking the weapon aside. It clattered across the floor. Outside, tires screeched. Flashlights cut through the rain. Celeste screamed, firing blindly. Glass shattered. But Eden held her ground, bleeding, shaking, and stronger than she had ever been. The front doors burst open. Rain and flashlights flooded the room. Roman charged inside with Miles behind him, shouting Eden's name. Celeste spun toward the noise, her gun raised. Eden screamed, "The children! Downstairs!" Roman dashed past her, tearing open the basement door. Two terrified faces looked up at him through tears. "It's okay," he whispered, pulling them close. A shot exploded. Wood splintered. Celeste aimed again. Miles fired first. One clean strike. Celeste fell backward, eyes wide, her smile fading into disbelief. But the echo didn't stop. Another gunshot. Roman stumbled, a line of red spreading across his shoulder. Eden dropped beside him, pressing her hands over the wound. "Stay with me," she whispered, her voice breaking. Outside, sirens screamed closer. Miles shouted for medics. Eden's white coat turned scarlet. Roman looked at her through the blur of rain and pain. "You came back," he murmured. "I told you," she said. "We end this together." He smiled faintly before the darkness took him. In that storm of blood and thunder, everything they'd pretended became real. The chaos settled into silence. Celeste was dragged outside, wrists bound, laughter sharp as broken glass. "You think this changes anything?" she hissed. "You'll lose it all." Eden ignored her. She knelt beside Roman, rain soaking both of them. His face was pale, breath uneven. "Say it," she whispered. "Say you love me." His eyes fluttered open, soft and tired. "I've loved you since the night you read to the kids." Tears mixed with the rain on her cheeks. She pressed her forehead to his. "Then don't you dare leave me now." He tried to smile. "Wouldn't dream of it." The medics arrived, voices blurring into static. As they lifted him onto the stretcher, Eden followed, her hand never letting go. Behind them, the lake reflected flashing red and blue. A storm ending, a life beginning. Celeste's laughter faded into the distance. Eden looked down at Roman's still hand and whispered, "We're going home." 1 week later, the hospital room smelled of antiseptic and lilies. Machines hummed quietly. Eden sat by Roman's bed, exhaustion written in every breath. Her fingers traced the edge of his bandaged hand. Lena's small voice broke the silence. "Aunt Eden, he's waking up." Roman's eyes opened slowly. Light met warmth. The first thing he saw was her. Micah jumped onto the bed, hugging his uncle. "You scared us." Roman smiled weakly. "Guess I needed a nap." Eden laughed through her tears. "You don't get to scare us again." He reached for her hand. "Then you'll have to stay and keep me in line." She nodded, heart full. "Gladly." Lena climbed into her lap. "Are we a family now?" Eden looked at Roman. He nodded once. "Yes, from now on." And, for the first time in forever, every broken piece fit where it belonged. 6 months later, Savannah glowed under the morning sun. Children's laughter filled the courtyard of a brand-new building, the Eden Holt Academy. Eden stood at the front, holding a ribbon in one hand, Roman's in the other. Lena and Micah bounced excitedly beside them. Reporters clapped, cameras flashed, but none of it mattered. What mattered was the promise behind every brick, a second chance built from pain and love. Roman whispered, "Remember our deal? 24 hours?" Eden smiled. It became forever. They cut the ribbon together as cheers erupted. Lena shouted, "It's real, Aunt Eden! Our school!" Eden knelt beside her. "Yes, sweetheart. Dreams can survive anything." Roman slipped an arm around her shoulders. "Especially when you stop pretending." And for once, the word pretend meant everything true. She thought she was pretending for 24 hours. But pretending became believing. And believing became love. Love didn't erase the past. It gave it meaning. It turned 2 broken lives into one quiet truth, that even after loss, people can still choose to begin again. Eden learned that healing isn't a moment. It's a decision. Roman learned that power means nothing without someone to share it with. Together, they found something stronger than fear, a reason to stay. If this story reached a place inside you, let it remind you that it's never too late to start over. Share it with someone who needs to remember they are still seen. And if you believe in love that rebuilds, in hope that returns when everything else is gone, follow the next story. Because sometimes endings are only the start of something real.